In this virtual tour, we're going to look at the Italian garden, which was completed in 1910. We're going to look at how the Dooleys constructed the garden, and we're going to look at the plantings, both historic and modern, and we will see why the Italian garden is such an important aspect of the Maymont landscape. Maymont was the home of James and Sally Dooley. They lived here from 1893 through the 1920s. At the time when they purchased the property, it was actually on the outside of the city limits. But through their time here, through the 1920s, and then to present day, the city has surrounded Maymont. Now it's in the middle of the city. At the formal entrance, you can see the stone arch that says Via Florum. It's Latin for flowering way. This arch invites you into the Italian garden that was designed by the architectural firm Noland and Baskerville. The architects studied modern and historical adaptations of Italian gardens while they designed the Dooley's garden. The garden is situated taking advantage of the beautiful south-facing view towards the James River. And following traditions of Italian-style gardens, it is a very formal garden close to the house. The Italian garden has several elements that follow design concepts of traditional Italian gardens. First, looking at the main part of the garden, there are geometrically patterned beds called parterres. And within the parterres and at key points within the garden, there are sculptural elements and small water features. And probably most iconic in the Italian garden is the pergola. A pergola is a long, vine-covered walkway. Ours is covered in climbing roses. And typically in a pergola is a dome structure. More elements of the Italian garden are the larger water features, including the water fountain near the outbuildings and the water cascade. Noland and Baskerville, the architects, studied historical and modern adaptations of Italian gardens. The Dooleys actually sent Henry Baskerville to Italy to study Italian gardens in depth. They borrowed from the 19th century Roman Villa Torlonia, when they were creating the Dooley's garden. And they almost borrowed the elements of Villa Torlonia verbatim. Within the Italian garden are multiple layers off of the main level. There's a promenade and a secret garden. Let's look at the promenade first. At the promenade level, there's a walkway that goes directly below the main level, and it actually connects with the top of the water cascade. Here in the secret garden, during the Dooley's time, it was filled with flowers. According to oral histories, here, Mrs. Dooley would have tea with her nieces and great-nieces. In a trip to Italy in 1910, the same year that the Italian garden was completed, the Dooleys purchased the wrought iron dome that was for their Italian gazebo, and they purchased it in Venice. The gazebo has classical Italian elements in the columns, and with the placement of it, you're given a premier view of both the Italian garden and the property. I'm going to turn it over to Peggy Singelman, Director of Park Operations and Horticulture. She's going to tell us a little bit about the plantings within the Italian garden.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm always so excited to talk about Maymont's Italian garden. What people don't realize is that the garden has been around for many decades and have been enjoyed by generations. But when Mrs. Dooley and Mr. Dooley enjoyed this garden, it was primarily focused with spring plantings. And they had peonies, and they had iris, and they had little polyantha roses. They even had liliums. And of course, they had roses growing up along the pergola. A lot has been done to the garden over the years, and I'd like to explain to you a little bit more about the renovations that we've made. Here at Maymont, we're always researching the past, and we're collecting information through photos as well as through newspaper articles. And so through that collection and through our archival library, we were able to discover a photo from the mid-19 teens that showed this garden to be very different than what it was at that time. And so what we did was, in the late 1990s, we removed all of the evergreens that were kind of encasing this garden and surrounding it, which is typical of most Italian gardens. But we were able to open it back up to emulate the photo of the Dooleys and to be able to have visitors experience this open garden that interacted with the landscape. Unfortunately, we are not able to open up the view down to the river because the trees have grown up along it over the past decades, but we can imagine the gorgeous view that they enjoyed. Flower-wise, we have actually planted this garden to be a lush experience, much as the Dooleys' spring garden, which I mentioned earlier. In the spring and in the fall, we enjoy pansies, and again, swinging around into the spring, we enjoy tulips as well. And then through the growing season, we have gorgeous annual bedding plants to create that lush experience. We hope you can find time to come and enjoy this garden soon, because it is open 365 days and is always a showplace.
Thank you for watching this virtual tour. I hope you learned a little bit about the Dooleys' Italian garden. We hope to see you around soon at Maymont.